So this will be. I want to make this quick, but I don't think it will personally, just because um, that's how these videos typically go. It's to the point that obviously it's kind of weird to put it out now, because as you read the title, this is a what I started doing. Obviously, like I think now for the third year, mid-year update videos. A mid-year update. Typically where I just recap the first half of the year and then talk about what's gonna happen in the latter half and such. But obviously, I'm fully aware that like these videos aren't really paid attention to, which is why I end up having to repeat these things in the live streams or just constantly bringing them up. But um the the thing mostly is just that um I can't film this traditionally, just because for I think the last a month and a half, the lights in the room died. And I generally don't know how much it will cost to replace them. Probably not much. We just need to replace the bulbs and such, but there was other things that had to be taken care of for the house and such. So I don't think the lights can be situated. So, which is why some videos that were originally planned can't actually be filmed, because I can't film the room if I can't even if there's no working light. So it's just gonna be audio. It'll probably be a lot more easier on my behalf and such. But I don't know. Again, I'll try to be quicker about this. I'll try to do this uninterrupted or unedited and such. The only thing I'll have to edit is just making sure the audio is uh, mono, so then you actually get it through both ears as opposed to just the left ear. But so I apologize if I'm just constantly repeating the same words and not cutting things down, just because I'll prefer for this to just come out right away, especially because we are entering May. But like there were well, I don't know, because I kind of want to recap the first 3 months as like collectively and not like individually, just because like admittedly I was excited about presenting this year because of the whole deal we have of just like we are going to be covering new series and such, but like my big thing with this year is that I wanted to cover things that we still haven't finished from like I guess this latter half of the channel's life. So obviously, for example, in February we finally finished up stuff from Zenkaiger, and then like one thing from Dawn Brothers. Obviously, for those two series, we still have two things, which are just the Christmas items. That well, there's the Christmas items. I guess you can say the. I don't count it. I don't count the things that are very difficult to get, but the Christmas items, even though they are categorized to that, like I still want to try to at least obtain those and such. But other than that, like Zenkaiger and Dawn Brothers, for the most part, are done. Obviously, the Versus movie with King Oger for Dawn Brothers is not under Dawn Brothers. So like, technically, in the lineage of Gears, we are done for the most part. But back to January, was YSP. Now, like I think I think I already said this in the previous end of the year update video, but I'll repeat it. I did YSP just because I was suggested to do so, and also just because I thought it would have been fun to open up the year again with Yokai Watch just like what I did in 2020. Last year. I was going to say 2022. Because last year we did the Ogre, we did Shadow Side and Explanation, no, music, no, and such. So, obviously, I get that YSP obviously isn't as relevant as No Air, just the franchise as a whole. And I don't know, I feel like it kind of came under like a huge blunder, especially because obviously some things got cut. The most obvious thing that got cut was the ogre content, just because of I needed an even number and such, because ogre was like 3 products and such, which technically would have been like 3 days, because I think with YSP I was doing like 1 video per day, and obviously I wanted YSP to be 2 full weeks of content, I think, so then it could have filled an entire month. So like sadly some things got covered, but some things got cut, but like some things got undercovered, like the YSP watch, for example, because first, obviously I do address this. I didn't cover the deluxe set, but that's just because somehow Zyken lost the deluxe medal. We don't know what happened to it, so I had to literally just move on without it. I don't know, we might consider repurchasing it, but I don't know, like, it's not, I hope it's at least inexpensive to replace. So then, because like I think if we can finally cover that deluxe set, I think then Yokai Watch YSP can come back to the channel and just be like 10 videos, like 5 videos as a whole, and then like, so then it can cover 2 weeks and such. But I think for the most part, I covered the majority of Zyken's collection. Basically, what he's only looking for just to get like the basic UR set, and then he's done with the series. And especially because Zyken did a lot of content already, or not a lot, but like he already did the majority of the YSP content over on his channel with the live streams, to which I did initially link on the unboxing spectacular, but because I had to censor a lot of things, I had to edit down that video for privacy reasons, and apparently it got rid of those like cards, unfortunately. And so that's it for January. But March, obviously I've already addressed in my previous Blazar stream. Blazar, I will simplify this, but like, I don't know, I think for me, unfortunately, Blazar is kind of like the series I felt like wrong to cover, or like Blazar is the first series in the channel's history where I felt kind of not felt miserable covering it, but I felt like, I think I already kind of explained it. It just felt wrong for me to cover, and like, it felt like I was doing a bad thing, or I was a bad person for covering the series as a whole and such. I forget, I don't know why I forget which wording I went with, but like, it was the most miserable. Like, I think you can clearly tell, like, I mean, you can just say that with these first 3 months and such. It's really clear that I'm like not, like, I'm like miserable, but like, because I honestly have just been miserable since October, but like, Blazer, I think, was like kind of the worst of like, uh, you know, eh, I keep forgetting how I phrase it because like I did have a because obviously I had to like come up with these explanations beforehand so then I actually know what I'm talking about. But like boys are I talked about it with Draken, but like it's just kind of unfortunate with like trying to talk about this series because obviously it's very polarizing. And like I don't think it's polarizing for like I feel like people are overblowing it personally of just like of how polarizing of a series it is because personally from what I'm getting it is just like a typical Ultraman series. It's not doing anything like it is doing like it but like it's just doing things differently, but I don't think it's things that are like very nefarious and such. I feel like it's still just a traditional Ultraman series, which is why it's hard for me to like because I feel like with Blazer, for example, like obviously, I just feel like I feel like in a way like I people want me to like not be fair to the toy line or just like not people, but I mean like I feel like in general I'm supposed to be like 100% not on board with it, which I'm ultimately not. Like I've already expressed it a lot that like I really don't want to come on as an apologist for this toy line. Like I'm just trying to cover the series of how I typically cover all my other series and such. Because obviously I have a lot of things I think could have been a lot better for the toy line and such. But like because I think for the most part with the Blazer toy line it is disappointing and such. And I want to get that across. But I feel like obviously that's not going to come across and such, which is why I feel like I have to overtly express this verbally just to get it across because if I don't, it comes off just me kind of like just I feel like it kind of comes off that I'm an apologist towards the toy line just because of the fact I'm covering it. Because obviously, typically, if I were to decide to cover an entire series, I think most people will obviously like see that like, well, you obviously bought into it, so that means like, because like obviously I don't buy into every toy line. Like for example, I did not buy into Decker. So like, if they see the fact that I covered Blazer, they're gonna think, well, obviously you're gonna be overtly positive about this, because then why else would you have bought almost everything out of it? But sometimes that's just not the case. Because like even if for a series like Decker that I did not buy into the entire toy line for, I can still at least say from what I've seen, I think the Decker toy line at least tried. Like I didn't buy into it because I wanted to purposely find an excuse to not buy into a toy line, and two, I was just kind of burnt out. Or not two, like I'll use that. I guess this is point two. Like I was just burnt out on like how Decker was doing its things, and three, I just don't. I've already expressed this. I just think the dimension cards are just such a backwards direction towards what Ultraman was doing of how the Ultraman toy lines handle cards. Ultraman toy line, how the gimmicks for Ultraman how Ultraman handles card gimmicks is way more advanced than like what we would typically get for like Ryder, for example. Because I don't get why they see something like, because I don't get why they're still using barcodes when they've already made things with NFC chips and such. I get they're more expensive, but that's kind of the whole point. Don't you want a more cleaner design than like having these these distracting black blocks on the side. Why would you prefer that over sleekness? That was my takeaway of it, and ultimately what I decided as to why I wasn't going to buy into the toy line. And also, like, I was still actually giving like room for Decker. Like, I was still giving giving it like a position of like, well, I don't know, if I actually do end up liking the gimmick, I'll just wait for the Memorial Edition and such. To which, like, after all that came out, I was like, I still ultimately decided I'm not going to buy into the toy line and such. Obviously, you people are going to be like, well, why didn't you do that with Blazar then? And it's like, yeah, you're right. But it's like, I mean, you can literally say that about any toy line as a whole now. But I feel like, again, as like, I wouldn't say as a reviewer, but like just, I guess as a consumer, of just like, I feel like your perception's going to get like, you're kind of cheating your perception and such because you got the better version of the toy. So obviously you're going to say highly better things about it because that's the only version of that toy you own. As opposed to like actually having a form of the original one. And like obviously saying the newer versions are better than the older versions, I will say is only valid when it's like almost 1-to-1 re-releases and such. But not when it's retail version and premium versions. I think that comparison is invalid because you have to you have to look at the premium / collector version as its own thing because of the fact it does, like, while it will carry the same functions as the original, it's still its own product. You can do comparisons and still say it's a better toy, but like actually go in depth as to why it's more valid and such, as opposed to like, again, something like, I will say the Ultra Zero Eye re-release and such. Like, obviously, like, I can say the re-release for that thing, for Zero 10th anniversary, is better than the original 2010 one. Is just because the sound quality is heavily improved and such. And I think they changed the LEDs, if I recall, but I don't remember. But like, you can't do something like that with, again, retail D-Flasher and then Memorial Edition D-Flasher. Actually, let's do a better example. Retail Gut Sparklins and Memorial Gut Sparklins. I think in that comparison, there's no point in such, just because the Gut Sparklins did not need a Memorial Edition. But like, I've already apologized for like just basically acknowledging Blazar on the channel. I already apologized for covering it for the channel, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna scrap like the rest of the videos I have planned for it. Blazar will come back in like the latter half of the year because I have everything. I have all the stones up to this date and such. So like, I'm not gonna like drop Blazar, but like, I'm just saying this because like, yeah, I'm well aware that like, it's basically like, I'm admitting to like, yeah, I'm sorry for covering Blazar and such. I get it's a black sheep and such, but like, I'm not going to like just throw my arms up and be like, well, I guess like Blazar is not going to like, I guess Blazar can't be acknowledged on the channel and such. Is like, no, it still will be. I just think it's upsetting that like I feel like that with Blazar, because I shouldn't feel horrible covering a toy line and such. I feel like if it was, especially for a toy line like Blazar, where I'm completely with most people of like it's not a good toy line and such. I'm with you people and such, but again, like I'm not even particularly directing this to anyone because it's mostly just the thing is that no one really talks about this toy line. So it's just, I think it's more just the opinion of the show and such. But like other than that, like it, like again, like I think I will use like a series. I think this my current or like how I'm feeling with Blazer would have fit better would have been like with the Geats, for example. Of just like, well, like for example, I was like, if I were to say like, oh, I think the Geats toy line is fine, then I get bombarded with, well, Geats is actually a horrible show because that's what people think right now. And then I start feeling bad for basically saying that the toy line's good. That's basically how I'm feeling with Blazar. It's just like, or it's more of like me thinking, I don't think this toy line's great. And then it's getting bombarded with, oh, so because you're covering the toy line, you think it's a good toy line. Well, you're wrong because I don't like the show. So, I know this is all dumb and such, but basically, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate. I think this is definitely unfortunate because, again, I was really excited for this roundup of videos, and they didn't come out well, except for Zenkaiger. Zenkaiger at least went out well. YSP and Blazar went badly. But what went worse was April, because it was always planned. Oh, I planned it not. Nonsense of the Ryder this year was 50-50. I was either going to do something. I was either going to step myself up or dial myself back. And I ultimately decided to dial myself back because genuinely, I kind of didn't really know what else I could have expanded on, especially after last year's of struggling with trying to come up with a week of nonsensical things to cover. I knew this year I just want to expand on one thing, which was to cover food or specifically TV dinners. And that still did not go well because the videos you saw were all filmed in January and February because the original intention was that I was hoping that, well, first of all, it was supposed to be 9 videos, but then I didn't realize that April had an extra week. So then I started panicking and I was like, well, shoot, we have to cover I need to look at the calendar. We had 5 videos ready and we needed another 8. And I did come up with like the actual like nonsense of the Ryder video and such, to which that did get filmed on the first week of April. But everything else, I ultimately did not get any more TV dinners, and I was like, what are we gonna do? We already prepared. We had prepared for the actual big video, but we did not prepare for like the videos for the upcoming month. So I ultimately had to just suck it up and just be like, well, we're gonna have to just stick with the 1 video per week. It will be bad for the channel, but it's just like it's technically the only way to still have content flowing and such. But then, like, I appreciate that everyone enjoyed it because I think it was a lot more funny that like it came out like this, because basically the whole joke with this year is that, you know, you get the first video and it's just like, haha, it's just another food video, third year in a row. But then as the month goes on, you see that there's more food reviews coming out. So then the viewers was like, oh, so this is the joke. You know, it's supposed to disappoint you. Cause that's what I had to keep saying to people, of just be disappointed this month. Just genuinely, just because I couldn't do what I couldn't fill out the month, and I ultimately kind of failed at like the big projects I wanted to deliver for this month. Like, cause again, like the fact that I already had to like just tell people like, yeah, I had to delay I had to delay the big nonsense of the Ryder videos to the end of the month, and then just to end up not doing them, just because, like, I don't know, cause like I think this sucks more, and I feel obviously horrible about it, but like this month's or this year's like nonsense of the Ryder video, I was excited for. It was like, it was very fun, like just recording at least. But then like I was getting ready to like actually edit it, and then just my mood like completely like went 180, and now it's just like, I don't know, in a way I kind of feel horrible about now. I now kind of feel like horrible just about the fact that I wanted to do a video like this, just because it's like, obviously you guys won't mind it, but it's like, it feels tone deaf now. I guess to say at least. And I'm not scrapping it. I will probably, I'm gonna have to like, I'm just gonna have to wait it out and like just put it out by the time of my birthday, repurpose it as a birthday video, but like still, it will still be branded under a nonsense of the Ryder video, because again, we didn't get that end card. But I think it's just, I don't know, I feel bad about not putting it out, just because, again, it was actually kind of fun recording it, and I want to do another video like that video, but like, I don't know, it kind of, it genuinely, it does hurt that I didn't get to finish it, but at the same time it hurts that like basically the reason why I wanted to do that video couldn't be done and such. But like, I don't know. It's like, I really, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, because it was just like, I was really excited about it, and then if I put it out now, it's gonna come off as tone deaf. That's all I can kind of say. So I have to basically, I'm gonna have to hold back on it until it doesn't become tone deaf. And when you guys see it, you're just gonna be like, what do you mean? But yeah. So you might be wondering, then what does that mean for the next 7 months? Yeah, the next 7 months on the channel, because again, I typically don't do updates for the next 2 months, but because of the fact, excuse me, because of the fact that June's actually a big deal, or basically the big 3 summer months are actually a big deal. This month, I finally found a way to have content besides this video. I basically had to cut down on what was originally planned just because I will be honest, this week after like Wednesday and Friday for this week was actually supposed to be the monthly unboxing and unboxing spectacular. Well, I basically, because I actually still need to film the last portion of the unboxing spectacular, but I don't have that package because for some reason Zrykin chose EMS even though we always did air delivery. So it's taking a lot longer for this package to come to me, even though, because the thing is that EMS was a more expensive option than air delivery. And yet he chose EMS. So I don't get it personally, but we're waiting on that. So it's just like, okay, then I'll push the 2 unboxings to the second half of the month. I will keep secret on what you're going to get for the next 2 weeks. Just because basically what I want is that the moment you see them, hopefully you understand the correlation. Except for the third videos for the week, because we're just doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday for next month. But the Friday videos, nonsensical. In a way, they're kind of made up nonsense of the Ryder videos, just because they came out after. That's what I will say. But the Monday and Wednesday videos, you're gonna definitely get the correlation of as to why they're getting released that week. And then the latter 2 weeks are just going to be unboxings, or it's going to be a Nonsense of the Ryder adjacent video, because it's technically what we could have made the main video, or the main big video of the year, but it's not. And just the 2 unboxings, and then the last week is just 3 openings, just because they were pre-recorded. I need to remember what the openings were personally. What did I have in my footage? Was it just the one? Do I need to film another one? I generally don't remember. I don't remember if I need to film another one or if I already got it filmed. I think I need to film the last one because this is the one I'm back and forth on, because it was a video I was telling someone that was going to be a stream, because I was kind of doing that because they were interested in it. But the thing, I think ultimately the issue is that I don't have the competency of people actually wanting a stream or wanting me to cover that on stream, or like actually going to stick around to watch me mess around with it. So I think it's just going to be better just to be a video, just to get it over with and such. But June is going to be, I think, June for me personally is actually going to be the highlight of the year, because of the fact we're finally going to go back into covering Zet. Zet has not been covered since 2021. I think this is the largest gap we've had. One of the largest year gaps we've had for a series. I think the second longest, or one of the longest that we used to have, was probably Drive. Because can I look up Drive on the channel? Or is it? No, I don't think I can look up Drive. But I think Drive was at least 2 years. Because I think I did recall covering a shift car. No, yeah, Drive was 3 years. So yeah. Drive, I think, is actually as equal to Zet. Let's look at Ultra Metal. Yeah, metal. Yeah, so Drive and Zet are going to be equal. I guess 3 years is the longest span I've had of not covering a series, because we only covered, the last time we covered Zet was again in Christmas of 2021. Now it's May of 2024. So in June, this is a spoiler, but like basically in the unboxing spectacular, I did finally get all the remaining ultra metals I needed. The only Zet thing I still technically need to get is the promo version of the Lato Access card, but I don't know. The only difference is that you get to play as Zero with that card as opposed to the one you get from the EX set or the SP Ultra Brothers set where it's Zero with the ultimate Zero mantle. But other than that, I still need to lay out Zet's schedule just because there's a lot of things that Zet's very unorganized just because of where I left off, because we haven't covered any of the Gashpon and Candy Toy sets, nor any of the premium items, so I hope it's not as much, but it is going to be a lot. July, obviously, is Gotchard. I don't know how much I can say about Gotchard, just because I'm actually still contemplating on some things. And thinking on a decision that no one's going to like. But one decision that obviously I don't think anyone's going to like is that my coverage on Gotchard, I think from what I'm planning out right now, is only going to comprise of the main toy line. So you're not getting the phase. You're not getting coverages on the phase boxes yet. Because if we were to throw those in within the lineage of the main toy line, that's hours of recording that is needed to be required. And obviously for certain cards, it would just be better to actually have all the items for it as opposed to like having to not just randomly not showcase them and then showcase them later. Like, again, if we did phase 0 right away, what are we supposed to do with the Legend Riders? We can't just like that's the issue too with dealing with the Legend Rider cards, because obviously some of them are singular or like, again, if we had like something like phase 3, we can't use the final form cards because we haven't covered the common finalizer, the Legend Common Riser, because that's what those cards are distinctively for. We can't just use them in the Gotcha driver because people should have common sense that they're the same barcode. And I don't want that repetition, even though that's what you have to show that just to get it in people's heads. But for the sake, because again, if from what I'm imagining, especially from doing the YSP metal packs, I think doing the Gotchard, if I did the right chemi boxes as demos, those are going to be like at least 50 minutes. And it's like, we're not doing that now. We'll wait until all the boxes are out and that we have like all the basic lineups. Then we'll sit down and record those. And also, so then you can get the most comprehensive version of the, like, you can get the most comprehensive form of those videos as opposed to having those sprinkled into the main toy line, because I think it's going to be distracting, for example, to have, I guess, the panel, the Chemi Riser together, like, for example, and then phase 2 and then Valorant's Chemi Riser. I think that will be very distracting, especially because that would mean Valorant's Chemi Riser video is gonna be like 40 minutes long. And it's like, I think it would just be more better and a lot more easier on everyone's time if we were just to cover these boxes when all the items are already established, as opposed to having, when we cover something like the X Gotchard caliber, instead of having to go through all of each, like, we rather have the X Gotchard caliber be featured in the phase video as opposed to the phase cards being included in the X Gotchard caliber video. Because then that will mean that video does not have to be distinctively long and such. But that's, again, that's my thought process of it. I just want to be more efficient with how we film it. Or I think it will be a more efficient way of filming it, of just basically removing the phase boxes and just distinctively only covering the main toy line cards and such, which will obviously mean that it will be a lot more shorter to cover, but then to watch, but it will also sacrifice, like, showing off certain things. Obviously, because that will mean some cards we won't be able to show the combos for because their other pair is exclusive to the phase cards. Or, again, we will be missing a big gap of cards because we're not covering them because they're only exclusive in the phase sets as opposed to being in the DX toy line and such. I don't know how far. I think what I have in mind right now is that we are going to cover up to Nijigan. But then that also means, like, Zarkin actually has to be quick about, like, actually obtaining Nijigan and such. And I think, I don't even know when whatever version of the Dread Driver Zarkin got was coming in. I think that's because, like, obviously for now, like, obviously if I'm going to take this month to film Zet, I'm kind of hoping, obviously we will have to be quick with Gotchard, obviously, because, like, we have to film these videos months in advance and such. But obviously, Gotchard's in the same traditional month when we cover the new Ryder series and such. And then August, I'm planning for that to be Geats again. But obviously, as we all know, the Beast X comes out at the end of July, which kind of means I have to make a quick turnaround on covering the Plosion Rage Buckle and such, which I'm kind of hoping. I think what I have with Geats, I think Geats will be just still like another 2 weeks of content, but I think it would be like singular videos as opposed to, like, obviously double billing them, because obviously there's not as much to cover. But I'm figuring at the same time, I'm just hoping by doing single releases, it does equal it up to like 14 videos. Again, I still have yet to actually list out what needs to be covered, because again, we're just covering, like, the stuff after Geats 9. So I think we're covering the releases from September through technically July, but it's just like, for example, If I have to remember, it's like Core ID set 02. Was Shinobi next? I got that one later, but Shinobi, Bujin Sword, Fantasy, Crossgeets. Oh yeah, then that means Oneness, the Oneness Raised Buckle, and the Oneness Core ID. So that is week 1. We got our first week. But then our second week, I don't think we have enough. If I recall, again. The second week is like the Zillion Driver. And then Doomsgeets, Implosion Rage. Like, see that's 10 videos. We need another 4. And like obviously I'm not getting the sound qualities. Cause like I think initially I think I did have in mind of adding in the premium DX buckles, but I'm actually going to eliminate those and save those for later. I don't know. I think Geets we have to do 5 videos a week. I don't think we can do 14. I don't think we can do 7. So that'll mean like the first week is just, again, I feel like I'm missing something. But first week will definitely be like why did I forget? Core ID says 02, Shinobi, the Shinobi Raised Buckle, Implosion Rage. No. Bujin Sword, Fantasy. And then it will be Crossgeets. So that's week 1. And then week 2 will be the Oneness Core ID, the Oneness Buckle, which obviously we will not use all the Gotchard stuff because we can't cover that. Zillion Driver, Doomsgeets, and Implosion Rage. So yeah, it's just 5 items. Or it's just 10 items. So I think that will work for a month, which is good. And then September, I'm hoping that it's kind of like what we're doing with May, just being like mostly unboxings, openings from May through August and such. And then October through December is kind of fishy because I think October is actually, at this point now, the only month I kind of don't really know what to do. November, I do have an idea just because I've already said it before. I think November is just kind of our catch-up month. Because I think I might use October as an opportunity again to like revisit Blazar and revisit YSP if Draken does get the UR mod or UR bezel. And then December, I kind of, because of what I have in mind for next year, I think we might have to cover Arc by December. Because I do want to buy into Arc. But I feel like it also kind of just depends on like what is, what's out and such. Because like obviously so far we only have like the Arcarizer, the sword, and the 2 cubes in the retail line. And then we have Candy Toy 1. And then a magazine pack in. So that is 6 items already and such, because I don't want to do December just because, like, what if another toy comes out? Even though it's been rarely like that since Rube was the only time where we actually did get a new toy by the end of the year. But Arc, I think I can manage to cover by the end of December. However, I feel like then that'll kind of mean, like, I think I'm using this as a backup measure in case I can't actually fulfill doing a Christmas video this year, because I feel like we're kind of getting to the point where we can't do Christmas stuff. Because we're running out of things to cover and such. Like, there are certain things where I'm like, I could technically cover that. I could technically get this thing to cover, but it's like I don't want to personally. Obviously, the biggest one is the Christmas Dial Fighter, because I never covered any of the VS Lite VS vehicles, so I don't think it makes sense for me to cover that. Which is why I feel like October technically, like, I think there's a series I can cover, but at the same time, I don't know if it's worth doing so, because I don't think the timing makes sense. And obviously, like, it's more difficult just because, like, for example, or just, I've already said it in the previous live stream, but like, Boom Boonger is not being covered on the channel, and it's not because like I don't like it or anything. I think the toy line it looks actually fun. But again, it's just for the sake of, like, if we can cut corners, then we have to. And just unfortunately, like, Sentai is always the series that we can, or Sentai and Ultraman is the series that, like, where technically I am allowed to actually just not buy into anything, or not buy the majority of it. But it's always Ryder that's like, for example, Gotcha, I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy into this toy line. I'm just going to move on and, like, not think much about it. But then, like, obviously Zarikin wanted to buy into it, so it's like, okay, yeah, he can do that and such. Which is why we're in the predicament we are in and such. Because, like, obviously if Gotchard wasn't being covered this for, like, in the month that we typically cover Ryder, then, like, again, we could have easily, I guess, substituted with Geets, or honestly, I think the initial plan was just substitute it with Build. Or Build / Q Ranger. Because those two series are kind of, I guess, always in the background, because it's like, Build, technically, it makes more sense for us to cover, just because we've already covered some things out of Build. It's just that I just would prefer to just finish out the entire retail line before I actually get into covering Build. And then Q Ranger I can technically cover. I think Q Ranger I actually do have enough to cover the entire toy line. It's just that I had to go through the effort of refilming the majority of the reviews, because it was I have already said this a lot, but, like, Q Ranger was originally planned for 2020, but then I lost the footage because I dropped the hard drive. So I finished quarters 1 and 2 of the toy line, obviously excluding the mechs, because that was before I got the mechs. But I think, I don't know, like, that's why I don't know if Q Ranger's worth covering for October. Just because it's, again, I think it's kind of a weird series to pick for that month, which is why I was thinking for that month instead, we can just, again, I think October and November are kind of interchangeable, because I think, honestly, for everyone's purposes, it would probably just be better if we moved October's video or November's videos into October. But obviously, again, it just depends on, like, if we can actually, like, if we can actually catch up completely on YSP. But then again, like it can work. It does work in a way. Because I think we're no, because Blazer is 7, or the Ultraman selection I have in mind is 7, unless we push some videos. But I guess it will work if we did like 5 and 5 or 10 videos, like or like 5 videos a week, and then like just double that. Because then the other thing I had in mind was that the other month was just going to be catch up on one-off things, which are just basically the Ryder stuff, like the Ryder one-off stuff. So like the Gotchard and Geets and Revice Ride Watch set, the Tassel Wonder Ride book, and the Guy Coates Ninja Den Wonder Ride book, and then like the 2 Dead Man sets. Or Vice Stamp sets. But the thing is that I still don't have the Dead Man set, which is why I never open those things. And the issue is that those would only cover half a month. And that's not good. Because I did actually want to try to finish my Revice collection, because it's again just the Dead Man set and the 3 movie ticket. The 3 more difficult movie ticket Vice Stamps, which are Kajki, Crocodile, and Hedgehog, because I am not getting Condor. But like, I don't know, it just kind of depends, because then like if I can actually get those 3, then and plus Komodo Dragon, because I still haven't covered Komodo Dragon, we can do a week, even if it's uneven. Is it uneven? Yeah, because of Komodo Dragon. Because of Komodo Dragon, it makes everything uneven. Either way, why is it Komodo Dragon? Like, I had to, like, that's the reason why it couldn't get covered it couldn't get covered last year, because it made the schedule uneven. And now it can't get covered. Now it potentially cannot get covered unless I can actually fill in that week with another item, which I don't know what it would be for. Because we still, like, obviously there's still things of Geets were severely missing. That isn't just the premium DX buckles, it's the Legend Rider buckles. We still need to dedicate a month to that. But again, we will get into that later. But I mean, I think that, I don't know, but so that is kind of the outline I had for the rest of this year. Because again, like I said before, right now I'm kind of trying to finish up conceptualizing what is outlined for next year's videos. Like, I have a good idea with how it should go, but I'm more hesitant about it, just because it's basically just me like just kind of like counting up like what items I have, and then just kind of just seeing how much weeks they take up, and then trying to like figure out like, well, if I want to do this, then like how would this work? How would this fit in the schedule and such? Because I think what I have right now covers up half the year and such. But like, again, I'm not gonna spoil how it's exactly gonna go, because you will have to wait until December. But like, what I have in mind right now is just, what if I want to dedicate this chunk of the year on these things? Then what would I have to do about the main thing I want to do for this year then? And such. So then it doesn't feel very like obtuse and such, or like very sudden. I guess, with how things are going. But again, I'll hopefully have that situated by, well, I mean, hopefully I have it actually written down, but hopefully I get it situated by the time I can actually officially announce it by the end of the year. But yeah, that was just for the main channel, and that's already an hour and a minute. The second channel wise, I think I've kind of been more happier with the output on the second channel, clearly. Just because I'm actually trying to do my goal for this year at least is try to at least upload one video per month. So then we don't suffer through droughts on that channel. Even though I'll admit some entries were kind of cheated. Which is, well, I mean, if they were cheated through, then I kind of made them up. For example, which I'll say was the case for January. Because obviously January we had the video edit compilation, which is probably, I had to say, is like, you can clearly tell was one I was actually happy about as opposed to 2022's. It actually got a thumbnail. But then I didn't think it will cut it as, well, I mean, like, again, at the beginning of the year I didn't really think about it, but then it was just like, this is something I kind of came up with more since February. But January, it was just the video edit compilation, but then I put out another edit just because I was too eager to let it, how do I word it? I was too eager to keep it to myself, which is why I put the video out as a short on YouTube, but obviously on Twitter it's in its original orientation. And then February, again, it kind of like February again was the first time I actually decided to put out an edit, not distinctively for YouTube, but like a version of it for YouTube, which was obviously the Cosmic Fury edit of the King Olger edit of the Cosmic Fury opening, because of the fact that I wanted to fix it for a while, just because there were some things of the original version that I knew were wrong. And I thought it would have been fun to put it out by itself, but also use it as a way so then people would actually watch. If people wanted to watch the one after that one, they had the option to, but through Twitter. Because the thing is that, what is this on the table? But most people are probably going to be asking as to why I don't just upload them simultaneously on YouTube and Twitter. And that's just because I think it's more preferable if I just let my edits have their time through Twitter and then be on YouTube a year after, but compiled with all my other videos. I know that's like a detriment because like I am obviously self-aware that no one watches them, even though obviously technically the 2023 compilation technically got artificial traction because of the fact that I attached it to the Cosmic Fury King Ultra video. But like, I just think it's a lot more smarter and a lot more like, I feel like it comes more together when it's compiled with all of these other videos and such. So then that person, whoever goes up to it, actually like kind of gets a lot more things out of it, as opposed to just, because like obviously if they want the one video, there's the timestamp. Or if they really are a stickler of wanting that singular video, there's the Twitter link and such. But obviously, however, there are cases like, again, the King Ultra Cosmic Fairy video where it's technically, I'll put out a YouTube version of it, but it's different from the one on Twitter because obviously, for example, the one on YouTube is actually fixed. But obviously, everyone that watches it is not going to know why exactly it's labeled as fixed. But I just think it's a lot more smarter to like just, you know, like I think it's just a lot more better just to have the Twitter crowd enjoy the video for an entire year, and then the YouTube crowd can get it at the beginning of the year, but they get it at a more better quality and alongside other videos and such. Just because, again, I always enjoy putting in together. I've enjoyed putting the compilations together. Like the 2023 one, I was really happy with how that one came out and such, which is why it's my more preferred way of putting my Twitter video edits out, as opposed to just putting them out individually and basically, you know, not having it so like there's a viewing discrepancy of like, well, okay, so only some people watch this one, but people really watch this one, singular one. I'd rather have it be all equal and just have anyone that sits through that enjoy all the videos at once as opposed to individually and such. I know that's convoluted and not a good way to go at it, but yeah. And then I did another video the month after, which was basically a successor towards my Espa Neurotic video of Irene and Sugi performing Wrong Number. That video shocked me. Like, okay, I had to say this just because obviously obviously you're just seeing a black screen, but that one shocked me because I actually got a comment from like someone very prominent. I assume like a really prominent content creator that like focuses on vocals, and I felt so dumbfounded because of the fact, obviously, I had no idea what I was talking about. I actually had to cut down like 2 minutes of that video because it didn't lead into anything. And I was saying the bare minimum stuff. And yet, like, that person, like, I wouldn't necessarily say complimented me, but they were like, oh yeah, like, yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I'm like, huh? This is definitely like the biggest person I've gotten a comment from. So I appreciate that a lot. But I'm still very dumbfounded by the fact that like someone of that stature decided to interact with my content. Like, I'm so sorry. And then again, this was planned since last year, but obviously for what we have for April rollout and 10, I hope this isn't our only Soul May video of, because I think I did that last year too, or the first time I did it. But like editing session of the written review of the Espa Avataro Gears. That one was actually fun putting together. There were some random mistakes because like I think it was the second one that like I realized that my sensor was off and played before when it was supposed to happen, which I didn't get why. And then like some sensor, like I don't know, there was like really small things about like where the sensor, the blurring, like for some reason didn't like align, but I think it's just because I shifted the timeline. And so it just kind of, so I had to like obviously like quickly like delete it and like re-upload it. But other than that, I was not expecting it to be like 7 hours long. No, I don't think it's 7 hours. It's like each part is like an hour to like an hour 40. I was not expecting it to be 5 parts, basically. So, again, like, I think that one is my favorite of the ones I've recorded so far. And I'm happy that I can finally actually put it out just because that was one I really wanted to, like, just. That was one I was like, I had to keep reminding myself, okay, like, I have to wait. I have to wait at least a year until I can, like, edit it and, like, put it out and such. But I'm happy that I can finally put out that entire session out just because it was really fun putting that video together and just revisiting just my thought process on putting that video together and such. But like what I said, I hope that's not the sole video because again, like, I hope I do actually get a May video done. I do have something in mind. I've had a lot of videos in mind that I had to like hold back and such. But obviously, I think I had to address the biggest thing of just, noun dash Ryder, just because there are several noun dash Riders that should have been out to finish out year 2, but they haven't. And it's basically what I said at the beginning. The light is dead in the room. So how am I supposed to film? Because I'm not using my soft light. Because you're still going to be able to tell that the room's dark. So I need the room lights to like at least make it consistent. So yeah, basically Noun Dash Rider kind of got halted because of that, unfortunately. However, year 3's videos I'm starting to kind of outline and such. I'm, like I said, the first year 3 video will be Geets. And I'm really excited to push on with that one. Just because I want that one to be distinctively different from Revice. And I'm really hoping that it does come out well, like Revice and such. And I just remembered I do have an idea for the Soul May video. It just depends. It's kind of gonna be a lot of work, especially because because of the things I want to do for it. But I think it also just kind of depends if I can actually pull it off, because again, the room lights are dead. And I think for what I want to do, I think the softbox light should work. But because I just remembered it, and it's like, that's, again, it's just, I don't think the work will be tedious, or if like the work I'm going to be doing for it is going to be necessary, but like, I want to see if it does actually like mean anything, I guess. I don't know how to word it. But if that doesn't work, then I think I might have to just do like another like off the cuff video. Because I've been kind of wanting to do stuff like that where I just kind of talk about something. I was actually supposed to do a video talking about, for example, I was supposed to do a video just talking about like Paradise Regained when it was originally like horribly translated or machine translated and such, but I've held back because I wanted to wait for the actual raws. But now, because the second part of the murder mystery is gonna be out soon. That's like, I think I've already kind of not missed the mark, but it's just like, I don't know. It's Paradise Regained is not something I want to like express my thoughts on now. But that's kind of it, because the joint channel, I'm not gonna say much on, just because I think I'm purposely just going to put it on a hiatus until next year. Just look out for it next year. Just because I think it will be more funny of just kind of making the content for that channel inconsistent, and it will be a lot more better. But I think that'll have to do with this. I'll have to cut out one part, but other than that, I'm just going to export this as, I'm going to put, well, I mean, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open up Premiere, going to open up a new sequence, or put it in an existing sequence, and then just export it like so and such. Like, yes, I know I could have just recorded this straight into Premiere. Oh, like what I said, I can't just drop it in because I need to like edit the audio, but okay, me, what? Oh yeah, I moved all of these into this hard drive. I forgot about that. Did I? What is that? That scared me. But I'll respond to that after, but have to, because I don't want to mark these offline. But I apologize for how scuffed this video is and such. Just because locate, like, I hope I become happier throughout the videos this latter half, as opposed to what has been coming out, or how I've been coming out in this first half. Just because I can definitely tell, like, I'm not in like the like typical, is it in here? Okay. I can definitely tell, like, I'm not in like the attitude I'm typically at. And like, it's not even because like, you know, the videos I'm doing this year are like bare minimum, or like, you know, they're not as they're not like as intensive, or like they're not as like elaborate and so, I guess, because like I said, the whole goal for this year is just to finish up series that haven't been touched on in a while. Which basically, again, if it's only if it's only been like 2 series, it's not really much. But like, I feel accomplished. Well, I can't say that yet because I haven't filmed that, but like, I'm going to feel accomplished and such. And like, it's cool that I, you know, at least did reach that goal. But I'm not going to blame anyone for feeling that this year is not really as elevated as like the last few years, of like where I've actually tried to like step up with how I do content and such, and it's just all the same and such. I'm not going to disagree with that, because I'm aware of that too. But I feel like what I can say is that there's a reason why it's basically kind of bare minimum, or like, or why it's just kind of like, it's just kind of all the same stuff and such. Do I not have an audio folder? What? It's just because it gets thrown in. Okay, then we'll make the audio folder. But yeah, that's kind of all I have, just because I mean, like, I was thinking of like sticking this onto a live stream, but I know that no one was gonna stick around and such, which is why, again, most of the stuff I had planned for live streams, I'm just gonna have to not do them and such. But again, I've already announced, like, I do have at least May and June's live streams planned, but again, June's can be interchangeable if I actually can in 2 occasions. The rest of the year, however, is kind of up in the air. I mean, not necessarily just because it's like, well, obviously, if I get ARC stuff, that'll be a live stream. But, yeah, everything else is kind of up in the air. So, that to do with this video and such. Finally.